Check, check. Good evening. I'd like to reconvene the City Council meeting of September 17, 2019. Welcome to Dana Point City Council. We will now reconvene our meeting. Sorry, I should have read that. We'll begin our pledge allegiance led by Councilmember Federico. Please remain standing for the invocation, which will be led by Pastor John Christie of Capitol Beach Church.
Gentlemen, please remove your hats. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The traffic's lighter, and they're grateful for that. So let's pray. Gracious God, we ask your blessing for the men and women who serve in elective office. We thank you for the skills and energies they bring to their duties and their willingness to set aside other obligations in order to serve the people of Dana Point. Help them to see that they are your servants first and foremost, and please empower us as citizens to give them the respect due their office, whether or not we agree with their political positions. We thank you too for the families and colleagues and staff who support them in their work in this complicated and uneasy time in our history. Give them wisdom to enact laws and regulations that foster an environment where every citizen can flourish spiritually, socially, and physically. Help them to lead and govern with integrity, and may their integrity guide and keep them on track. Give us leaders who desire to follow your principles, direct their steps, for their decisions have a great impact on our lives. Be their defender and protector. Help them to have courage and faith in you, no matter what they are facing surrounding them, with good counsel, good support, and good friends. In his name we pray, amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to presentations and proclamations. This is DAR Constitution Month, Daughters of the American Revolution. Could the DRM members Peg Coggins, Ruth Rellin, and Sharon Lawfor come up to the podium, please, and present the proclamation.
Hello. We're here from the DAR. Today is Constitution Day, and September 17th, 1787, the U.S. Constitution was signed and bells rang. And today we took part in a bell ringing. The DAR goes into, we had 40 of us members. We go to the mission and have a special ceremony ringing the bells. And actually they ring all across the country, wherever the DAR is, and some churches also do the same. The proclamation or the paper you give us today will be placed in a display case at the Dana Point Library. All three of us are Dana Point residents. We do have some members in our chapter that are from San Clemente, Laguna, and other areas. Other than that, I did want to say read one little paragraph. This is what we recite together at every single DAR meeting, and it kind of tells you everything you'd want to know about the DAR in one paragraph. America's Creed. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. So that's what we're about. Sure.
since we don't have a handheld mic anymore. Let's turn this around. Well, thank you, ladies, for coming in. I wanted you guys to go first so people understood who the DAR is. My mother-in-law is a member of the DAR of Dallas, and explained to me a little bit about what you guys do in keeping the history of the country and making sure everybody understands everything that this great country of ours has gone through to get to where we are today. I was fortunate enough a few years back to be in DC, and I actually went to see the DAR house there. I mean,
Yes.
the monument was pretty fantastic. So thank you so much for doing what you do. We have a proclamation for you this evening. I'm standing over here so the mic can pick me up. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government and a republic dedicated to rule by law. And whereas September 17th, 2019 marks the 232nd anniversary of the signing of the Constitution of the United States of America, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this memorable anniversary and to the patriotic exercises that will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. And now, therefore, I, Joseph Muller, Mayor of the City of Dana Point, California, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd, 2019 as Constitution Week in the City of Dana Point, and urge all citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties. Remembering that lost rights may never be regained. Dated the 17th day of September, 2019.
Thank you
Thank you so
very much. We will
Thank
be
you for everything you guys do.
appreciate it. Thank you
So
so much. We enjoyed
We
being
have,
here.
we have pictures.
Oh, okay.
Okay, on three. One, two.
Thank
You
you.
guys have your 30th anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Okay. So this brings us to reading the ordinance and titles. City Clerk, are there any ordinance titles to read?
Mr. Mayor, there are no ordinance titles to read this evening. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the City Council, the public, or staff request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Madam Clerk, are there any to be removed by the public? Item 14. Any by staff?
No, sir.
Thank you. Any by council?
Yes, item 19, please.
19. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to move the balance.
I'll move the balance.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to post a no vote on item 18, Madam Clerk. All right. Okay, that passes with the exception of unanimously, with the exception of item 18. Okay, let's go with item 14. And that is the development updates. Do we have any presentation from staff?
We don't, but we're available for any questions.
Okay. Any public comments? Thank you. There will be a 3-minute time limit. And when you come up, please state your name and city of residence for the record. First speaker is Gabriella Buckley, followed by Patrick McNulty and Elizabeth Ray.
A few other speakers to go before me, so I'll just jump right in here.
Can you pull the mic closer to you?
I am a homeowner on Beach Road. our family has owned the house for 50 years. This is our 50th year there. And to keep it in the family, we rent it out in the summertime. And I remember being here several years ago, kind of going through the same thing, where we had some issues, and you guys set the rules. We followed them. You got our input. We did everything we were asked, paid the taxes. Our house is a perfect house for two families. We were up there spending all of our summers there, and that's really what we have there, are two families that come. It's the perfect way for two families to have a vacation and not pay an exorbitant amount. I think all we would ask as homeowners is include us, the short-term rental people. Include us in what you guys are doing. Ask us to participate and ask us for our thoughts, or ask us, to give us to give you comments. That's what I think should be done. I think that was done the first go round. So this is kind of a shock, I think, for a lot of us, that all of a sudden you're asking, in essence, for there to be no short-term rentals is what I get out of it, other than if you're living in the home itself, which I don't think is really the case for a lot of these homes. I think it's a way to keep the home for us. For other people, it's just their business. So I'm gonna let other people speak, but I would say include us. Extend an invitation, get our thoughts, tweak it, but don't eliminate it, which is in essence what this does. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Buckley. Patrick McNulty, please.
My name is Patrick McNulty. I own a home down at Beach Road, 35679. We've had the home similar to the Arenagas and the family for many years, for about 57 years. It served as our family home when we were asked to join the rental organization with the city. We obviously complied. We've done everything correctly. We've never had any complaints with the house. And I'm obviously not for any changes that would eliminate us continuing to do business with our family home. It serves as income for my retired mother, so it's an important part of the family business. It's where she raised 5 kids as a single mom. So our situation, it would dramatically affect us as a family, affect my mom specifically. So I'm adamantly against it. I think it would also put a lot of families that come to the beach that enjoy a moderate vacation down at the beach, follow the rules, enjoy the beach as a family, don't create any disturbances. You're going to eliminate that completely. And I think that's wrong. I mean, it's not in the best interest of the community or family values. Oh, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. McNulty. Elizabeth Ray, followed by Carla Moore and Susan Christensen.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My husband
Could
and
you
I.
state your name and city of residence, please?
Sorry. Elizabeth Ray, Capistrano Beach. My husband George and I operate 3 very small short-term rentals in Capistrano Beach. He's actually owned them since 1988. And we feel that we cater to different groups of people other than what the hotels do. We have a lot of foreign visitors that are used to short-term rentals. They like the fact that we have fully equipped kitchens and free laundry services, and they stay for longer periods of time. And and then we also have a lot of people that come for weddings, a lot of those, and they can't afford the big expensive hotels, so they stay at our place and go to the hotels for the weddings. And they also appreciate the amenities. We have a lot of small families with small children. We have yards. We have toys for them, and croquet and games and full beach equipment they can use, coolers, umbrellas, beach chairs, the whole thing. so they don't have to rent them, and it makes it affordable for them. And the yards makes the kids happy. They have water tables and all kinds of things to keep the kids entertained. Also small dogs. 2 of our units, 2 of 3, allow small dogs. And we have one lady that comes repeatedly because she brings her little dog Zoe. And she said, if something ever happened to Zoe, then she could never come back because it would make her so sad. So she's our regular renter, and she brings her dog. It's like a member of her family. We have people like that. They can't go to a hotel. Also, the reason we started this in the first place is we have 5 kids, 4 grandkids, 1 on the way. And we have a small place. One of our units we live in, it's a 1-bedroom. So when at Christmas, Thanksgiving, we block out the other 3 units and we have family get-togethers. We couldn't do that if we had long-term renters there. The other thing is we're retired. My husband George is here. We're retired. We're on a fixed income. If we were to lose this income now, we would actually have to leave the state. We'd have to sell and go somewhere else. So that was it, right?
We have 30 seconds left.
Oh, I have 30 seconds left?
Yes.
Oh,
That was just
okay.
it was a warning to let you know you're down to 30
okay.
seconds.
We don't mind obeying the rules. We've never had any complaints from police and neighbors or anything because we live there. We keep an eye on everything that's going on. And we don't mind the $150 per unit a year registration fee or paying 10% of our gross. We've been doing that for 3 years. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Carla Moore.
Thank you for letting me address the council. My name is Carla Moore. I currently live in Irvine, and I am a small business owner of a vacation rental property management company. I have about 10 vacation rentals that I manage for the owners, so I'm speaking for myself and my livelihood as well as them. We have 10 permits where we rent weekly, and we have 0 complaints from the city. I believe these permits have been grandfathered in for the last 3 years, and they're at risk given that a new ordinance may be passed to only allow home sharing. I'm not sure who of you would stay in someone else's home on vacation. It just personally wouldn't work for me or any of my clients. They want the privacy of having their own place. I think there's definitely a great niche for home sharing, but it's not going to provide the kind of accommodations that I believe the Coastal Commission is looking for to give people access to the beaches. So I got an email from one of my clients that have stayed in Dana Point, and I think I'm going to read just part of it to you because she really summed it up in a more personal way. She said, "It's sad to me that some residents of Dana Point aren't interested in sharing the beautiful city that they live in with others who might want to stay a while in a home or condominium. When I grew up in the area, my grandparents and parents had fruit stands. We welcomed the many visitors that had, because they were good people and gladly brought us business and contributed to the financial well-being of our area. We lent them our bathrooms, sold them cold drinks, and got to know their stories. It saddens me that now it saddens me now so that we want to keep others out. While there might be a few incidences where neighbors have had bad experiences, I don't believe that's the norm. I have seen the benefits of tourism and know that it is highly unusual that vacationers will ruin a community. Vacationers, in fact, bring income and tax dollars to improve the city of Dana Point. While hotels and motels are a great option for some, please consider the difficulty that is placed on families with small children if they have to stay in hotel rooms that don't have enough beds for a family of 6. Perfect timing. So I think that she would be someone that would basically be locked out of coming to visit Dana Point. That's one example. So I certainly hope that you strongly consider keeping some sort of permit process like what is in place right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Suzanne Christensen, followed by Josh Kolaw. Colaco. Yeah. That says Jason? Oh, okay. There he is. All right. And then followed by Marion Rupke. Thank you.
Thank you, council people, for having us here tonight and listening to us. I know your time is valuable and appreciate what you do. My name is Suzanne Christensen. I own a house in the Lantern District. I'm a retired school teacher. There is not any way I could afford to keep this house.
Could you
if-
state your city of residence, please?
It's San Diego,
Okay.
California right now. It would be unfortunate if we did have this current ordinance passed, because I can't even imagine as a single lady having someone come into my house to share my house and I don't know the person. It would just be a little awkward for me and wouldn't feel entirely safe. So I do have that concern. Also, I find it unfortunate that some individuals and local residents who oppose short-term rentals are driven by fear and misinformation rather than facts. They are basing their concerns and biases on the few unpermitted, unaccountable properties and also the numerous sober living facilities scattered throughout Dana Point. It is important to understand that moving into an ever-growing global market and economy, that vacation rentals have expanded and enhanced the travel landscape by offering alternative accommodations and providing economic benefits to communities around the world. I feel that Dana Point is a growing, vibrant community. And when I tell people I have a place in Dana Point, they're like, "Oh, that's a beautiful area." It is. I feel we should be able to share it and share in the joy of this beautiful area. And it would be just terribly unfortunate if we couldn't, aside from the fact that it does provide an important retirement income for me, as well as a lot of people, and helps us to hold on to our homes, which in the future, at some point, I hope to have my home paid off, and then I can live here permanently myself. That would be my dream and my goal. But I also love sharing my house, not with me there when they're there, but we've had lovely people there, and they enjoy the stay. They're very respectful. We've never had any problem at all with anyone. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Christensen. Jason Kalako, followed by, I'll get you, Miriam Rupke, and then Brian Rupke, and finally, George Ray.
Good evening. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Jason Colasso. I'm a resident of Dana Point. I've lived here since 2005. I own 4 short-term rentals in Dana Point. I also own a number of long-term rentals. I personally contribute over $12,000 a year in transient occupancy tax. I purchased my short-term rentals with the sole intention of operating them as a short-term rental. If my permits were taken away, it would be like the city was taking away my business, as I cannot afford to operate them long-term. In my opinion, it would be a classic case of eminent domain that would expose our city to millions of dollars of legal exposure. I fell in love with Dana Point after staying in a vacation rental in 2002. Hotels in the city were too expensive for my family, and so we ended up staying at a condo at Niguel Beach Terrace. I purchased short-term rentals because I believe it's important to provide low-cost lodging options along the coast. At Dana Point in particular, we've seen a massive reduction in the availability of affordable local lodging. Over the course of the last decade, we've seen 3 motels shut down in Dana Point. Average cost per night in a single room hotel is north of $180 off peak, and the summer prices skyrocket. The wait list for camping at Doheny is months long. 4 years ago, Dana Point had over 400 short-term rentals. Today, there are barely 100. We seem to be massively misaligned with the policy set forth by the California Coastal Act. I've been involved in our city's discussions around short-term rentals since 2005. When our original ordinance was crafted, we had over a dozen meetings and workshops. City council members Mueller and Visoric encouraged us to participate and get involved. As best we can tell, with the current short-term rental subcommittee this time around, they've not engaged with any permitted short-term rental owners, which is frustrating considering as a group, we remit over $820,000 a year in transient occupancy tax. We were told by the city staff that we would be engaged, but this has never occurred, though we represent over 60 permit holders. The subcommittee has been working on this issue for 2 years, and all they could come up with is a policy basically banning short-term rentals, since few, if any, of the existing permit holders home share. To conclude, I have to say that I'm particularly frustrated with council members Lewis and Wyatt. Our group of short-term rental owners met with each of them prior to them being elected. Each told us that they support short-term rentals in Dana Point and that both had personally used vacation rentals extensively over the years. On social media, Ms. Lewis has been particularly vocal against vacation rentals, and as she has aligned herself with Capital Cares. It's hard to understand how we can have two people so obviously biased leading this committee.
Mr. Colosso,
Yep.
could you please direct all comments through the chair and don't attack individual members?
Sure, sorry about that. That's all I got to say.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Miriam Rupke.
Good evening, council members. My name is Miriam Rupke, and I am a short-term rental homeowner in Capo Beach. Since 2015, I've been running my rental with a rigorous attention to the rights of the neighbors and the surrounding community. I screen each and every renter. I instill strict rules on occupancy, parking, and noise. I am a conscientious STR owner, and it matters to me that I'm doing my part to ensure my home is in compliance with city rules and that my neighbors are not being disrupted. In light of the 2016 referendum, I wanted to do my part to help overturn this negative stigma associated with vacation rentals. So I started to offer my services as a local manager to homeowners who needed the help. So now I am both a property owner and I manage a handful of homes, including a few on Beach Road. The manner in which I manage my clients' homes is the same as my own. I am hands-on and I am there with a watchful eye day in and day out. In all of the years that I've been doing this, I have yet to receive even one complaint from a neighbor regarding my rentals. In fact, district management on Beach Road have referred to my properties as the model STRs in the community. I don't live at my clients' homes, nor do I have to in order to ensure they're being managed properly. This ordinance that is being proposed of homestay only will pretty much eliminate what's left of the 100 grandfathered STRs in Dana Point and wipe out any type of affordable housing for the hundreds of repeat renters who come yearly to our beach town. The majority of these renters are families, people who are traveling to Dana Point with their children or grandchildren and are looking for an affordable house to rent close to the beach. This option of homestay is in essence a traditional Airbnb where the owner rents a room in their home. I don't know about you, but when I travel with my family and we do rent vacation homes, we don't rent homes where we are sharing a living space with the homeowner. The only people I know who are okay with this type of travel are generally young travelers, college students, or people in their 20s who don't mind sharing a home like a hostel. So is this what the city is proposing, that rather than offering a home for a family to rent with their own privacy, we should only allow college-style dormitory vacation rentals? I can't imagine what kind of chaos that would create on Beach Road, where homeowners are now allowed to rent rooms, and what kind of issues this would bring with this type of demographic, not to mention the parking issues. The average family renting a 4-bedroom house might have 2 cars, but now if you're renting 4 individual rooms, you're looking at 4 to 6 different vehicles when you include the owner's car. I'm not sure how this proposed ordinance makes any sense. If anything, I foresee this creating greater issues for neighbors and the communities. I have clients on Beach Road who have purchased their homes with the intent of operating as a vacation rental prior to the city even being incorporated. The city's been collecting taxes, they issued permits, and now all of a sudden you want to take these rights away. Same with my own home. My husband and I both spoke candidly in front of this council in 2016 about our financial situation and how we rely on our short-term rental to pay our mortgage. So I ask you that you reconsider this and please include us as short-term rental owners. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rupke. Brian Rupke.
Hi, good evening, council members. Try not to waste too much of your time. My wife obviously said a lot of stuff that I wanted to say, but there was like a few things that I've noticed just sitting here for a few minutes and just noticing, and I hope everybody in the council notices too, the uniqueness of everybody that's come up and spoken before you. We have people that have homes that have been established in their family for years, and part of the way that they keep these homes is through short-term rentals. We have people who they're basing their lives off of having short-term rentals. It's like their business. And then there are people like my wife and I who have family and we're established here. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but we're putting my daughter through college. And then my son is at a boarding school because unfortunately the schools here just can't support his needs well enough. So we had to introduce him to a new school that could support his needs. And all these, and meanwhile, I'm currently also a graduate student at Cal State Long Beach. And so we have all these bills piling on us. And the only way that we're able to stay in this great community is by short-term renting currently, right? And so I just want you guys to all recognize that by stripping this away, you're also going to impact a lot of people. I mean, myself personally, my wife, she's a citizen now, but she came from Canada. I'm originally a resident of Kansas. I moved here in 2005 when I joined the Marine Corps, and I was here in the service until 2013. And then I stayed when I got out because I loved this community. And so I just want everybody to understand like the magnitude of this, and it shouldn't be something that should just be played with. And when we start talking about this, we should make sure that we bring in people like myself, bring in people like my wife, Jason, and everybody else who came and spoke in front of you today. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ripke, George Ray.
Good evening. I'd like to address comparable issues. For instance, one other anecdotal point regarding our place. We obviously had the licenses, and we've made substantial investments, over $250,000 predicated upon those. But my question is that in reading the analysis, it brings up all the hotels that are being developed, which I still, as everyone has pointed out, that we have a different type of use, different type clientele. It's free market society, is it not? And it does appear that, as you well know, when you throw out just individual houses, it's basically elimination of competition. And I don't know why, because it's a different market, different personnel. Another question is brought up, trying to have housing. Well, why didn't you bring up the fact that in the Raintree project, you're having over how many, 150 units being developed? Is that not? I don't know the exact count anymore. I entitled the 39 units that the Charles Company is going to develop at Golden Lantern. That was not brought up. So you're having additional residential houses being developed. You also have the condominiums that are being developed in downtown. You have the condominiums developments in its third phase, Del Obispo and PCH. So you're having replacement housing. There's obviously a limited number of SDRs, which I understand because you want to maintain a community of